Why is no the hardest word to say? We think saying no makes us selfish. We think it makes us unkind. So we say yes. We say yes until we are exhausted. We say yes until we have nothing left to give. But have you ever considered that a yes to others is often a no to yourself? That every time you give away a piece of your time, your energy, or your peace, you are taking it from your own well. This is not a story about selfishness. This is a story about self-preservation. This was the trap that caught a kind woman named Mila. If you were to walk through her village, you would see her everywhere. Here, she is mending a neighbor's torn shirt, her fingers moving nimbly. There, she is watching another's children so they can have a moment of peace. Over there, she is carrying heavy bags of grain for an elderly man who can no longer lift them himself. She always smiles, but if you look closely, you can see the heaviness in her eyes. It is the deep, quiet exhaustion of a well that is about to run dry. One evening, after a long day of serving everyone else, Mila returned to her own small home. She walked past her own garden without a glance. It was a patch of dry, cracked earth. Weeds choked the life from what were once hopeful little sprouts. She had had no time to water it. She had had no energy to pull the weeds. She stumbled inside and collapsed into a chair, her stomach growling with the hunger she had ignored all day. Just as she closed her eyes, a sharp knock echoed from her door. Mila took a deep breath. A long sigh escaped her lips. She forced a smile onto her face, a mask she wore so often it felt like her own skin, and she opened the door. Mila had no boundaries. Her kindness was a floodgate, left wide open, and now her own fields were drowning in neglect. Feeling her spirit withering just like her garden, Mila decided to seek wisdom. She had heard stories of Elder Rowan, a mysterious herbalist who lived at the edge of the forest. They said his garden was a place of impossible vibrancy, a pocket of paradise where plants of healing and beauty grew in perfect harmony. Mila journeyed to his home, expecting to find a man as harried and busy as she was, constantly wrestling with the demands of such a magnificent place. She found the path to his secluded home and paused. What she saw surprised her. Elder Rowan was not frantically working. He was not rushing or toiling. He was sitting peacefully on a simple wooden bench, a cup of steaming tea in his hands. He was simply watching his flowers bloom, a gentle smile on his face. The air was calm. The only sounds were the buzzing of bees and the soft rustle of leaves. His garden was a testament to life, and its keeper was a testament to peace. Mila approached him cautiously. "Elder," she began, her voice barely a whisper, "how does your garden bloom so brightly? It is the most beautiful I have ever seen. Mine is dead. I spend all day helping others in the village. I have no time for my own soil. I have no energy left." Rowan did not answer immediately. He took a slow sip of his tea, his gaze kind and patient. Then he raised a hand and pointed not to his flowers, but to the sturdy wooden gate at the entrance of his garden. "Do you see that gate, Mila?" he asked, his voice calm and clear. "Tell me, is it open or is it closed?" Mila looked. The gate was thick and strong, made of solid oak. It was securely latched. "It is closed, Elder," she replied, a little confused. Rowan nodded slowly, a knowing light in his eyes. "Exactly. If I left this gate open all day and all night, what do you think would happen to this garden? The wild goats from the forest would come and eat my roses. The harsh winds would blow through and scatter my precious seeds before they could ever take root. My garden only thrives because it is protected. He set down his cup and turned to face her fully. The next words he spoke would change Mila's life forever. You think no is a wall that rejects people, he said gently. It is not. No is a gate that protects your garden. It defines where the public path ends and your sacred ground begins. It allows you to decide who and what you let inside. It gives you the space to cultivate your own soil, to water your own seeds, to grow something strong and beautiful. He paused, letting the weight of his words settle. Without a gate, you are not a gardener, Mila. You are just public land. You are a field for everyone else to walk across. You cannot give fruit to the village if you let the village trample your trees before they can even grow. A no to a small, passing request is a yes to the deep, essential needs of your own soul. It is the most important act of cultivation there is. In that moment, something shifted inside Mila. It was like a bolt of lightning illuminating a dark room. She stared at the closed gate and then back at the vibrant, thriving garden behind it. She finally understood. All this time, she thought being good meant being open. She believed that to be kind, she had to be available to everyone, for everything, at all times. But she saw the truth now. By being completely open, she had destroyed her own ability to create anything of value. She was an empty field, not a bountiful garden. Her exhaustion was not a badge of honor for her kindness. It was a symptom of her deep neglect. Neglect for her own energy, her own time, her own well-being. She wasn't truly being kind. She was slowly erasing herself. Her yes to everyone else had been a final, devastating no to her own life. Saying no, she realized, was not an act of hate. It was an act of profound self-respect. It was the act of a wise gardener protecting her sacred ground. The final scene of Mila's story does not take place in Rowan's garden. It takes place back at her own home. A few days have passed. She is outside, holding a watering can, when a neighbor hurries over. Mila, the neighbor calls out, "I'm in a terrible rush. Could you possibly run to the market for me? It would be a huge help." The old Mila would have dropped everything instantly. She would have said yes with a strained smile, while her own plants thirsted for water. But this was the new Mila. She turned a genuine, calm smile on her face. "I am sorry," she said, her voice firm but gentle. "I cannot do that today. I have to water my garden." The neighbor was a little surprised, but simply nodded and said, "Oh, all right then, I understand," and they walked away. There was no anger, no argument, just a simple boundary, stated and respected. Mila turned back. She closed her own front gate, a quiet click that sounded like a promise. Then she walked to the center of her dusty garden plot. She knelt down and gently poured a stream of cool, clear water onto the roots of a single, struggling flower that was just beginning to show a hint of life. And in that quiet, simple act of choosing herself for the very first time, Mila began to bloom. The moral is that saying no is not a selfish act, but a necessary boundary to protect our energy and our spirit. Unless we tend to our own garden first, we will have no fruit, no flowers, and no beauty to offer the world.